The most dangerous day of a machine's life is the day it becomes ordinary. I know that. I have known it since I was young enough to stand beside my grandfather's lathe and watch him check a bearing he had checked 1,000 times before, with the same care he had given it the first. He never explained why. He didn't need to. The machine did not remember being checked, and so every check was the first. That was the discipline. I understood it. I taught it. And then I got busy, and I got proud, and a boy named Gil paid for the months I forgot. He was 17. He had taken to the boiler the way some boys take to a horse, with an affection that was almost proprietary, a little embarrassed, entirely genuine. He called her the old girl, which made Teho snort and Kwang allow a small, careful smile. On the morning it happened, Gil was already at the firebox when I arrived at the engine floor, shovel moving in the easy rhythm of a hand that had done this enough times to stop thinking about it. He was cheerful. He was proud. "Morning," he said, not looking up. "The old girl's already up to pressure. She's never late, never sulks, never cracks like Teho's blades used to. Easiest job in the works, minding her. You just keep the fire fed and let her run. She does the rest herself." Easiest job in the works. I heard it, and I did not hear it. I was already thinking about the sabyak order, about the tonnage we owed by the end of the week, about whether the new bearing housings Choyong had fitted would hold under extended run. I heard a boy who was happy at his work, and I moved on. I should have stopped. I had said it myself 100 times to apprentices who were getting comfortable. The part you stop fearing is the part that teaches you fear. I just never thought it would teach us with him. Dogwang had been trying to tell me for 3 weeks. He found me at the order desk that morning, or perhaps 2 mornings before. The days have compressed in memory into a single, damning conversation, and he stood at the edge of my attention the way he always did when he had something that needed to be said and not merely heard. One arm, one stool, and a patience that had outlasted every argument I had ever tried to make against his instincts. "The relief valve's overdue for stripping, Dojin," he said. 3 weeks overdue. Hard water's scaling that boiler like a kettle, and a scaled valve is a valve that sticks, and we're running her hard for the sabyak order with a green boy who thinks she minds herself. I don't like any one of those things. I like all 4 of them together a great deal less. I was signing an order sheet. I remember the scratch of the brush, the smell of the ink. I remember thinking, Guang worries. That is his job, and he is good at it, and the works is safer for it. I remember thinking, end of the week. After the rush, Guang, pull her down end of the week and strip the whole valve gear. Just keep an eye till then. You're good at that. He looked at me for a moment. He did not argue. He went back to his stool. Gil was alone on the engine floor when the gauge climbed. He noticed it. That is the thing I have had to sit with. He noticed, and he was not careless, not stupid, not negligent in any way that would let me put the weight on him. He was 17, and he had been left alone with a machine he trusted because the machine had earned his trust. And he did what a boy does with a machine he trusts. He tapped the gauge. He tapped the valve. He spoke to her, the way he always did, in that half-embarrassed murmur he used when he thought no one was listening. "Hi this morning, aren't you? Cold's making you work." A friendly thump on the valve casing, the kind that had always been enough before. "Come on, let your breath off like always. You'll settle. You always settle. Quota first, then I'll fetch Master Guang to look at your sticky lung." The scale had been building for weeks in the valve seat. The seat was fouled. The spring was fighting calcium, and the valve that had always opened at 140 jin of pressure was now holding at 160, 170, climbing. The boiler did not know about the quota. The boiler did not know about Gil. It only knew pressure, and pressure only knows one direction when there is nowhere for it to go. Guang heard it from across the yard. I do not know what he heard. Some change in the engine's voice, some harmonic that did not belong, the kind of thing you only learn to hear after years of standing close enough to a machine to know its breathing. He was off his stool before he had finished hearing it, moving faster than a one-armed man on a burned leg has any right to move, roaring across the floor. "That sound, that's not her healthy sound. Clear the engine floor." Gil, get off her, get back now. Soren was at the gauge board. She saw the needle, and her voice cut through the steam and the noise with the flat precision she uses when there is no time for anything but the fact. The needle's past the red, it's past everything. Down, everyone down behind the iron. 4 seconds, perhaps 5, not enough. The boiler let go. There is nothing to say about the sound that would not diminish it. There is nothing to say about the force. The panel of the explosion, in the account I have tried to write and rewrite since, is always empty of figures, only the force itself, which is the honest rendering. The boiler did not hate anyone. It did not choose. It simply did what pressure does when the vessel fails, which is everything at once, without apology, without pause. Guang had reached 2 boys. He had thrown himself across them and taken what came, and he lived, burned, broken in the left side, but alive, which is a fact I have not finished being grateful for. He was trying to crawl back through the wreckage when I reached him, his voice already asking the question he already knew the answer to. The boys are the boys. I had them. I had 2 of them. Gil. Where's Gil? He was on the firebox. Dojin. He was right on her. Tell me one of you got the boy. Tell me somebody got Gil. I held him. I could not tell him. There was nothing to tell him that wasn't the worst thing in the world. The works went quiet in the way that a forge only goes quiet when something has happened that the fire itself seems to know about. The hammers stopped. The bellows stopped. People stood in the yard and did not speak, and the veil above us, that pale failing dome that has been thinning since before I arrived, seemed thinner still, as though the sky wanted no part of what we had done. Taeho found me at the wreck. He put a hand on my shoulder, hard, the way he does when he means something to land and stay. Don't you take all of it, he said. I signed the same quota. We all walked past that valve. But don't you dare take none of it either. We did this, Dojin. Not a god, not bad luck. We got proud and we got busy, and the good boy is dead of it. The only thing we can do for him now is be the kind of works where it can't happen to the next one. Chalyung was nearby. She had been crying, and she was not hiding it, and her voice when she spoke had the fierce, controlled quality of someone who has decided that grief is only useful if it goes somewhere. Then we make it so it can't, not with prayer, not with promises, with a thing we build that won't let pressure climb like that ever again, no matter how busy or proud or stupid we get. That's how we carry him. Unha did the failure analysis. She moved through the wreck the way she always moves through a problem, slowly, with her hands, reading surfaces the way a physician reads a pulse. She found the scale deposit in the valve seat. She found the spring, corroded and weakened. She traced the firebox loading. She looked at the gauge record Sudin had been keeping, which showed the pressure climbing across the morning watch in increments that any one of us might have caught if any one of us had been watching. Here, she said, and here, and here. She did not look up from the wreckage. The scale, the seized valve, the overfire, the green hand left alone. Not one of these killed him, Handojin. All 4 of them, lined up, killed him. She was quiet for a moment. Then, I will tell you the cruel comfort, because it is the only one I have. A death from fate you can only mourn. A death from 4 named, preventable things. That one you can make sure never happens again. The temple would have called this heaven's wrath and learned nothing. We will call it a maintenance schedule, and a boy will get to grow old in some town because we did. I wrote it down, all 4 of them named in the failure log, with the date and the sequence, and my own name in the chain of decisions that let them line up. That is the only honest accounting. Wang wrote his rules from his sickbed, slowly, with his unbroken hand, on a sheet of paper that Sorin had ruled into columns for him. He would not wait until he was well enough to sit at a desk. He wrote them that night, by lamp, with his burned arm strapped across his chest. 2 relief valves, not 1, independent, so that a stuck valve is never the only valve. A fusible plug of soft metal set in the crown of the boiler, calibrated to melt and dump the fire before the iron ever bursts, so that the boiler destroys itself before it destroys a boy. Every valve stripped on a schedule that no quota can move, no order book can defer, no engineer running late on a delivery can push to the end of the week, no green hand alone on a boiler ever for any reason. And the pressure number, the number at which the works runs, and the number at which it stops, belongs to Dogwang, not to the order book, and no one overrules it. He gave me the sheet when I came to see him. I read it. I did not change a word. Your word stops anything now, Kwang, I said. Anything. I should have written that the first day, and a boy paid for the months I didn't. It's yours. The whole question of how hard we dare push. It's yours, and no one overrules it again. He looked at the paper for a moment, then he folded it and put it against his chest, under the bandaging. I couldn't save Gil, Dojin, but every one of these rules has his name on it, where nobody can see it but me. We buried him under a bare sky. The veil does not reach the burial ground on the eastern slope. It never has that far out. And so there was only the open air above us, gray and cold, and the pine ridge beyond, and the smell of turned earth. I had thought about what to say. I had thought about the old forms, the temple language, the comfort that heaven has a plan, and the dead are gathered into something larger. I could not say it. Not here, not to these people, not after what Unha had named so precisely in the wreckage. I won't tell you heaven took Gil, I said. Heaven didn't take him. We did, by getting careless with a power that doesn't forgive carelessness. I won't dress that up. The wind moved through the pines. No one spoke. But I'll tell you what we owe him, and it isn't grief, or not only grief. We owe him every boy who tends an engine after this and goes home to supper because of what we learned the morning we lost him. His name's on every safety rule we'll ever write. That's not a comfort. It's a debt, and we will pay it, carefully, for as long as anything we build still burns. We rebuilt the boiler. Sorin oversaw the inspection of every seam, every rivet, every valve seat, with the thoroughness she brings to a gauge calibration, nothing assumed, everything measured, everything recorded. The fusible plug was fitted. The redundant relief valve was fitted. The maintenance schedule was cut into a wooden board and hung above the firebox where no one could walk past it without reading it. When we fired her again, she ran to the same pressure as before, the needle settling in the same place on the gauge. The numbers had not changed. The machine had not changed. It runs the same as before to the gauge, Sorin said, but it doesn't feel the same, and it never will, and I've decided that's right. A works that forgets Gil is a works that's getting ready to make another one. We'll carry the fear with the fire from now on. That's the price of the power. I think it's a fair one. I only wish we'd known the toll before he paid it. She was right. The fear is not a weakness in the operator. It is the correct instrument reading. The part you stop fearing is the part that teaches you fear, and the lesson, when it comes, is not abstract. It has a name. It is 17 years old. It came to work cheerful on a cold morning and called the engine the old girl and thought it was the easiest job in the works. I looked at the boiler for a long moment, at the new plug in the crown, at the two valves where there had been one, at the board with the schedule that no quota could move. Respect the boiler, I said, every day, forever. Come on, Sebyok still needs its engine, built right this time, and shipped with Kwang's book. We owe Gil a frontier full of engines that never do this again. The bellows started, the fire caught, the needle began, slowly, to climb, and this time, every person in the works was watching it.